You're a burglar, but you only steal things to slightly inconvenience your victims. What are you stealing?
I would steal every measuring cup but the 1/3 one.
The one that nobody ever needs.
Yeah. You use it for one recipe.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to JG's Lounge. I'm your host, Jukebox, and we are back with another episode of Stardom. I don't even know what episode this is, but man, it's just so much fun going live. With me today, I got two guests, one repeat guest. Joaquin, man, how you doing?
Good, brother. How are you?
Doing fantastic, dude. Just another day, you know.
Oh yeah, I already know.
It's bright and early in the morning. Yep. I don't want to make our new guest Bobby wait too long here. I want to introduce Bobby to the show, man. How you doing, dude?
All right, doing good, man.
Good. So Bobby, I mean, let's let you kind of introduce yourself first because you're new to this as far as my show goes, and then Joaquin, I'll let you kind of touch base on what you do as well.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but like you said, I'm kind of new to this. I got into the game just about a year ago or so. I hooked up with this guy Owen and kind of was doing his podcast TGB, and some people caught their attention. Guy Chris Abels, you know Chris Abels, you've had him on the show before, and Rob Saul. So he was kind of like, hey man, I dig what you're doing. Why don't you come over here and do this? So they let me co-host on the Rob Saul show once a week. We do that every Wednesdays at 8:30 a.m. And I'm just kind of branching out and trying to do other things. Based off of that, I started my own show called the SPORTSHEADS with my buddy Andrew, and we do that on the Shuley Network on YouTube every Friday at 7:30 p.m. East. So yeah, just enjoying this podcast game.
Hell yeah, man. I mean, it's a lot of fun. If you if you don't mind talking to people, this is like the way to go. It really is, man. It's so much fun. Especially like I've met people from around the world. You know, how many opportunities did you have to talk to somebody from Australia?
Yeah,
like legitimately in Australia. You know, it's like I've done it a few times.
It is cool, and one of the things I like about this is it's like a podcast family, because I hang out in a lot of different shows and in the chats, and you see a lot of the same people in there, and they all come and they become your viewers, and that's how I socialize and kind of bring people into my stuff, is kind of being out there, being socializing in the chats.
Yep, that's how you gotta do it, man. And so all your stuff is live, right? When you do your shows, they're all live.
Yeah, I do all live. I haven't really done anything taped yet. It's live, and you think that would be daunting and all, but I'm kind of into it. I'm kind of just like, turn the camera on and let's just do it like we're doing today.
Yep. Yes, sir. And Joaquin below us here, man. Joaquin, you actually do a pre-recorded show and then you release it, correct?
Correct. Yeah, I started 4 years ago with my very own podcast, where it was just me interviewing people locally, business owners and whatnot. Just to kind of see what their story is like. I was very big on motivation. I put together Insensitive Culture, and which is just, the show that's currently running. It's me and Mike, and, we all worked at Apple together, and we would just have a great time. I always figured like this would be a great podcast. And we started that 3 years ago. I let go of the first one just because it was just, I had to focus on one. I had to pick one or the other, and Insensitive Culture I was having way too much fun with. But I was the opposite from you guys. Yeah, everything was pre-recorded, everything was edited, released at, whenever I could. I had no idea about like going live or anything like that. Obviously, like we've gone live since then. I've met a bunch of people, and now even now, like we still do our pre-recorded shows, but we're putting together ideas for maybe a live show. It's just, with family and stuff, as you probably know, definitely you, JG, you know for sure, that it just gets to be a little bit overwhelming. So really that home work podcast life balance needs to be in full effect there. And but I'm noticing that, since you guys, you do a lot of the mingling with other podcasters, you spoke about it. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's one of the experiences that I rarely have, because we don't really interview anyone. We have our own We just have our own co-hosts, and we stay in our own little zone and don't really talk too much.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're not wrong. Me and Bobby were talking about that before you jumped on about balancing, having that balance. The reason why I do these shows so early is because my family's sleeping right now. It doesn't affect that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, do you have the whole vibe where like podcasting is almost kind of coming off like my mistress lately? Like my family are always trying to like pull me back. I'm down here doing my thing in my dungeon and on the family. It always seems like they're a little extra needy when I got a podcast. I don't know if you guys deal with that or not.
Yes. Well, and I'll I'll even tell my wife that I have a show scheduled like 3 or 4 days in advance, and she'll be all about it. And then like an hour before, I'm like, yeah, I gotta go to the show, and she's like,
yeah, like you didn't say it at all. And here you try to give her the heads up and let her look. It's coming. I'm letting you know this is coming. Don't give me stuff in a couple days about it. But no matter how much warning you give them, they're still a little jealous about it, ain't they?
Yes. Yeah. It's
route. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, man, go ahead.
I was going to say I went the other route. I didn't have much space in my home. So, and if I do podcasts from my home, like I did on JG on the previous episode that I was on, I'm at the kitchen table. I don't have any equipment at home or anything. But even when I do that, it's, constantly the kids would come down, even though I told them I'm going to be on a podcast and I'm to be quiet. So I know exactly what you're talking about, but my studio is outside of my home. So by the time I get here, it's just nice and quiet. Hopefully, as long as my neighbor isn't in his office and just slamming doors for no reason.
So one of my first episodes I did, I was actually using my neighbor's Wi-Fi because at the time I didn't have a very strong one, so I was using their basement, and they were actually redoing flooring upstairs.
Oh shit!
And I ended up not releasing the episode. Let's just put it that way.
That's rough. Yeah.
I did it live, and then afterwards I deleted it because all you hear is just banging and hammering. It
might be comical just as it is. Put it out like that.
Yeah, right. One thing I do like about the live aspect, though, is being able to kind of read the comments and give shout outs to people that are joining in and stuff like today. Stormy is one of your co-hosts on the Coffee and Pods, correct?
That's right. Coffee and Pods. Every Monday at 12 noon, we review all these different podcasts from the Shuley Network that I'm a part of. And Bob Levy, I know you had Bob Levy on, and he has a whole universe of comedians that kind of float around him and are doing podcasts. So we kind of wrangle them all in every Monday, and we kind of talk about, what we liked about them from the previous week.
Yeah. Yeah, and we got Big Grizz, we got Losers for Life. I know both of them. Thank you guys for joining in today. Today for the topic, I was trying to think of something that would be like morning related, but I just went with some just random fucking facts. Just some random facts that I'm going to read to you guys, and then we're just going to whatever, we'll talk about them.
Okay.
All right, first up. 46% of people press the snooze button more than once before waking up.
Guilty as charged.
I was a snooze button beast, and I only did that. I doubled down with like putting extra time on the clock. So I had like 10, 12 extra minutes on the clock. I'm hitting, and I knew I'm doing fucking math when I wake up at sunrise. I'm like doing that mental math, like I can hit the button and I got this much time. Yeah, I did all that.
And I even set 3 alarms 5 minutes apart.
Shit.
Yeah, and I still usually snooze.
I know I'm gonna hit snooze for sure, but I set 2 alarms half an hour apart, so that if I let it go too long, I have 2 alarms going off at the same time, and I'm hitting snooze on both, and they're just screaming at me to just get up. But I'm same thing, mental clock. Usually I'm trying to get up in time to go to the gym before work, but if I knew I got up too late to go to the gym, I'm just like, well, now I just have until about 7:30, so let me turn off.
I don't know why I added that extra step of forcing myself to do math in the morning, because I knew exactly what time it was by doing the math. And at some point I just gave up on it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put it on regular time rather than doing the math. And it's funny because I started out doing that game, putting my clock a little ahead, and it used to mess up my wife waking up in the morning. Now I've noticed that we've changed. We totally flipped it. Now she adds time on her clock, screwing me up, and I'm normal. So we've kind of changed over the years.
Yeah. Now, if you guys have somewhere to be like an appointment or something early in the morning, how much in advance do you wake up? I'm curious.
I set my alarm for at least an hour and a half to 2 hours because I know I'm going to hit snooze.
Yeah, I did 2 hours today. Like I made sure I was up like 7 my time so I could get up and get my mind going and things like that.
Mhm.
But once I get into a routine for something, like once I get like a workflow or something, I get that shit down to the traffic light getting me there. You know, I'll get up at the last damn minute, know every light, and if I hit one extra light, bro, that's it. I'm late. You know. So.
For me, it's like I don't like. I want to be there where I need to be 10 minutes early so I can sit in my car and be ready to go in. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to like be slamming it in the park and jumping out the car to get to where I need to be.
Yeah. Like to me, it all depends on the activity. Like I wouldn't want to get up and just like turn on my shit and try to be, try to be clear and waking up only like 5 minutes, wake 5 minutes, So.
Yeah.
It all depends on the activity I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Same here. Like even making it here in time. I was like, well, yeah, I can do that because I have this much time to wake up, drop my kid off, and then I'll make it to the studio. Luckily this time around I had 10 minutes to prepare, but I like to give myself some sort of leeway just in case there's traffic or something. And I'm generally around 5 minutes early, if not like right on time. So late is one thing even though I like to procrastinate and hit that snooze, late is one thing I just can absolutely not be. So I'll get there one way or another.
Right. All right. Next up. Screaming YOLO would make more sense if you were doing something really safe rather than something really dangerous. There's a lot of fact behind that, though. I mean, if you're about to ride a bike off a bridge into a river or something, and you're screaming YOLO, that does kind of contradict itself if you think about it.
or you're making sure that you know when that one time's going to end, right? You only live once, and it's about to end right now.
What's the craziest shit you guys have ever done?
Crazy. I have not lived a very crazy life, man. Since I was a kid, I was just like analyzing things in my head to avoid crazy. All of the crazy experiences I've had in my life were because of someone else, and I was just launched into it, like fights and whatever. It was all someone else's fault, and I'm just trying to figure out how the hell I'm going to get out of there.
Yeah, similar situation. I have a similar story. I'm the last of 5 in my family. I have 2 older brothers and 2 older sisters. So I learned a lot by observing about what not to do as far as crazy and paying your bills or just all the different life lessons. I seen how they messed up, and I kind of like, don't want to do that. Check that off, kind of thing. So I had a little bit of that going on.
Yeah, I've done a lot of traveling. I mean, I think the most dangerous thing I did was when I lived in Colorado. This is back in my early 20s when I partied all the time. We took we carried a table up a mountain with a case of beer. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with like high up in the higher the altitude, the easier you get drunk. So it was me and like 4 or 5 people up at the top of this mountain playing beer pong. And we didn't drink a ton. We drank enough to where it probably wasn't smart for us to be climbing a mountain and fucking playing beer pong on top of it. So the whole trip back down, we're all stumbling over each other. The sun's going down. You're seeing like little piles of bones like from the fucking mountain lions and stuff on the side.
Shit.
It was just stupid shit.
Well, when you said you went up a mountain with a table and then drinking is involved, I'm getting a mental picture of you guys putting that son of a bitch down, sitting on it, and sliding down the mountain or something. I thought that's where you were going with that.
Well, damn. Now I wish I would.
Dude, I talk to my buddies about this all the time, but I get vertigo, man. And so heights and mountains are just not a thing that you're going to talk me into. I did that once when I went out to Cali. We went to Muir Woods, and I guess there was 2 paths. There was a path where you can, see the bottom of all of the, the redwoods, and it's like this awesome. I never got to see that because someone said, "Hey, let's go to the left," and the left just kept going up and up, and yeah, and it's like a 2-way path that's extremely narrow. There's nothing but like just a steep fall to my right. It was the most intense thing that I've ever done in my life. And I got pretty high up, and then we still hadn't reached the top. No way. And then you throw on that most of my life I was overweight, definitely not doing anything that has to do with like rides, roller coasters. Just panic set in that I was just too heavy of a kid. Like this bar isn't going to hold me on this roller coaster. No way. Hell no. So yeah, I was a cautious kid.
There's nothing wrong with being cautious, man.
Nothing wrong, but you just don't have too many exciting things happen to you specifically.
All right. Bobby, you scared of heights?
I can't say that I'm too overly scared of heights as long as I feel that I'm in control of the situation. You know, I can do tall buildings. My wife is like that. She's got the vertigo kind of thing. Like, can't get too near the edge of a balcony when we're high up and all. I'm pretty good, but I do have an issue with roller coasters. I have like the inner ear thing. So roller coasters rock my world. And sometimes we get on some of these world-class roller coasters like Montu at Busch Gardens in Tampa, Florida. I rode this thing. I had no idea what it was. I get home and watch one of these roller coaster shows and find out this is like a world-class roller coaster where people come from all over the world and get on. I'm like a novice. I should not be on this son of a bitch. I turn every kind of shade of green when I get off of them, but I'm getting better at them.
I used to love roller coasters, and we go to the theme park every year. And I still enjoy them, but not like I used to. You know, I do it one time. I used to do it like 4 or 5 times, but I'll do it once with my kids. I'm just like, nah, I'm good. I'm getting too old.
I just went to Florida earlier this year, and they had the new Guardians of the Galaxy in the park, and I rode that, and that son of a bitch is wild. That'll rock your world. You're inside. It's like kind of Space Mountain on steroids. They're spinning. The cars are spinning in every direction. They're sliding you. There's light shows going on. It was trippy. It was wild shit. So I was proud of myself that I got through that without throwing up.
Dude, I'm nearing 40, right? I'll be 40 later this year, and it was about, I had to have been nearing 30 when I went on my last walk. Why? Because I used to love water slides, especially like I have the vertigo thing, and you know that usually takes a little bit to set in, but the enclosed water slides, I used to have a great time. When I was nearing 30, I went on my last water slide, and I remember just like being so nervous the whole time, just sliding around, not knowing where I'm going. And when I hit the water, it was hilarious. Me and my buddy, we must have hit the water at the same time. We're both just like making the walk through the water to get back, and we just look at each other and we're like, never again. Like, hell no. So
they're getting crazier and crazier with the physics of some of these water rides, or some of these rides in general, man, where they're just pushing the limits of human physics. Like some of these rides I look at, I'm like, human beings should not be doing that shit with their body. Like, no
shit. There's actually, you guys familiar with Schlitterbahn? Have you heard of the water park Schlitterbahn? Okay, so there was one here, and they had the steepest drop water slide in the world. And they only lasted like 2 years because a kid like got decapitated going down because he hit a bar and it just took his head off.
I've seen some of those extreme ones where they just look like they're essentially just pointing straight down to the ground. Like some of them, like they got the glass enclosure over them, because if not, I think some of the momentum, you might fly off the son of a bitch. Yeah.
Yep.
Have you ever seen the documentary Class Action Park?
Yeah, I did some of that about the Action Park. That place was crazy up in New Jersey.
Oh, God, yeah, that was insane. Some of the stories, and then my stepmother, like I was talking to my dad, she was like, I used to go there as a kid. It was the best. I'm like, you're lucky you're still alive. So many people died on the wave pool, and the way they used to treat just friction burns. They would have a concoction of iodine and like all these other chemicals in a spray bottle, and in the infirmary they would just draw a circle on the ground. They say, hey, if you stay in the circle after I spray this, you'll get a prize. And, that's just one of the ways that this place was totally insane, just ran by teenagers. It was
what was that movie with Johnny Knoxville where he did like his own theme, like park?
Yeah, Jackass. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was based on that park. It's crazy.
Yeah,
That makes
apparently it was
sense.
just some older guy that owned the park, and they would just like whatever idea they could concoct in their brain, they would just go, yeah, let's fucking build that. No care for physics or math or anything, and just safety, nothing.
Dude, they had the first ever loop-de-loo water slide. And the way that they tested it was they would send a dummy down, and if it came back in one piece, cool. All right, so now let's pay each employee $100 to see who would make it. And then when the first one went down and he came out all bloody and stuff, all right, adjust it. And
he's trying it now.
Yeah, the employees and everybody, all the park attendants were all guinea pigs essentially. They didn't know it.
Yeah, it was bad.
All right, next up. There are more fake flamingos in the world than real flamingos.
I can believe that. I don't think I've ever seen a flamingo in real life. I can't say I have.
Other than the zoo. I mean, I've seen them at the zoo, but
right, that's probably about it. Yeah, but when that's a good point. When you think about it, you go past all those like lawn and garden places where they have the bird fountains and all, and you see all the different flamingos out there. Yeah, I probably have seen more fake flamingos. I don't know if I ever pondered that until now.
Yeah, they could look totally different, and you wouldn't have no idea because all you ever see is the ones in the yards.
Yeah, I've never, because it's so cold here. We don't have them at our zoo, so I've never actually seen one. Now I'm gonna go next time I visit my brother in Florida. I'm gonna go on a trip just to
see a real flamingo.
I have experienced geese in the wild. You ever been around like geese, like a gaggle of geese, or when they're kind of on the ground?
They're some nasty assholes, though.
Yeah, they are. They will come up and talk shit to you, like, this is my turf, motherfucker, get away. Yeah, I was at a particular park, and they were like basically just strong arm us out of the park. Yeah, it's crazy.
They actually on one of the shows I talked about who do you think would be the angriest animal, and I said goose. Like if they could talk, it'd probably be a goose.
Yeah. And then the ones I was around, they were talking shit. They were like squawking at me, like they were like actually in my face, like talking to me, like, yeah.
I haven't had any come and attack me, but I know a few people that, because we have quite a few geese here, and they're always stopping traffic and whatnot. Their whole family trying to crawl. You can't that alone, you know that they're an asshole. So,
and it's not just them. Yeah, that's just like when you're going to the store and there's people that just blocking the road, and you're trying to just get through and park.
Just oblivious. They act like they're the only people on the planet. Act that you're the only. Yeah. You think they're the only person on the planet right now?
Yeah, dude. I don't know here because I'm in Rochester, New York. It's upstate New York, like an hour away from Buffalo. And here it seems like even though we have plenty of sidewalks, no one uses them. They're all just in the middle of the road.
Same where I'm at, man. I can't believe it. Like I would not. That's putting your life in other people's hands. That's trusting who's ever driving down the street, going, "Hey, I hope please don't kill me." And me, I don't roll like that. Like I got to put myself in a position where I can jump out of the way if I have to. I'm not going to rely on every person flying by me hoping to keep me alive. I mean, people are just. I don't know if they're brave or stupid.
You know, I don't trust people very much when it comes to that. But I don't even think about that. I'm like, what if? Like this person it's not necessarily that they're an asshole, but what if like their tire like pops off and they veer to the right and I'm just standing like, any little thing.
Exactly.
I told you, I'm a cautious. Right. I think about all the stupidest things that could possibly kill you. Too much Final Destination.
Oh, dude, I've seen a truck pulling one of those massive ass RVs, like trailers. And they were driving down I-70, the interstate, and one of the tires blew on the trailer and flipped the trailer and the truck over multiple cars. I mean, that shit can, and nobody has control over a tire popping. I mean, come on, man.
There was just a video that went viral recently in the last couple of days there. It shows like a Kia and a pickup truck. The pickup truck's like to the right and a tire comes off the truck. And what did it do? It flipped that freaking Kia and dropped it right on its nose, bro. I mean, so yeah, that shit will happen.
I saw the same video. It looked like a scene out of The Dark Knight. Just
right. That looked like that straight up looked like a Hollywood stunt, didn't it? And then I imagine you imagine yourself like in the vehicle, like you're flying, you come down the airbag, and I'm imagining what the hit must have been for the people,
and my kids, and just like
start thinking about all that shit. Yeah,
the worst.
Says Losers for Life says that video is crazy.
Yeah, it was. That tire just goes straight up under that vehicle. I mean, like that, like zero time to react, no time to swerve. Wasn't shit, man.
Yep. Oh yeah. I believe the biggest thing that came from that was also, I guess the Tesla. It was a Tesla that was behind it, and it was on auto drive, and the auto drive calculated all of that and slowed down and avoided the accident for the person who was recording. Because I want to say that was recorded on a Tesla.
That's pretty impressive, considering that sometimes they have that issue where they test them and they won't even stop for like a kid or a dog in a crosswalk. You know, they've had those reports of those tests. So the fact that it did all those adjustments on the highway, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Joaquin, you still with us, man?
I am. For some reason, the camera came off, but I'm fixing it now.
Oh, there you are. Cool. All right. Yeah, that is intense. I used to live on the corner of like a main street and a side street, and dude, the number of accidents I witnessed. Just pay attention, people. Like, you might be an okay driver, but that does not mean that other shit ain't gonna happen. That's like if I'm in a car with somebody else and they don't buckle up, I'm like, you're gonna bounce around this car and kill every motherfucker in here because you decided you don't want to buckle up.
Well, the whole thing I look for on the road is when assholes meet, because, you know, you always see that guy like swerving in and out of the lanes, driving up the emergency lane and shit. And my whole thing, as I was thinking, when you meet the person that's exactly like you on the road, that's when it's going to be a fucking problem. That's when those two kind of people meet, there's going to be an issue. Yeah.
I was just telling my fiance that when we go and we look for a house, I don't want to live on a main road, one with a crap ton of traffic, and I don't want to buy a house directly across from like a stop sign, just because those are my fears. You're just kind of hanging out at home and something random happens like that, and it ends up just banging through your house. No.
That's why they're so cheap on the market, though. Main Street,
Yeah.
The houses on main streets are so fucking cheap, man.
They are, but it's cheap for a reason. You always got to question, why is this house so cheap?
Yep. All right, next up. If you put your finger in your ear and scratch, it sounds just like Pac-Man.
No, if it didn't cause me to take my headphones off, I was going to try it. I'll be doing it later when we get off here. I'll be.
When you have like an itch in your ear and you're just like, that's like one of the best feelings in the world.
When you get it, yeah.
When you
get in there, just kind of.
Yeah. If you don't get it, that's the most annoying thing in the world. You got to start doing the throat clearing thing.
Yeah, Pac-Man's good shit. The classic video game. I'm a big video game guy. I love video games.
I was gonna ask, what's your guys' favorite like classic arcade game?
Oh, classic. I'd have to say Super Mario. Just like any of the Mario games growing up, just hit all of those all of those points for me. If not that, Sonic.
Okay.
Cool. I love all the OG arcade games like Pac-Man and Pac-Man Space Invaders, Galaga. Like, I come up on a lot of those old games. I'm an old arcade guy, but I still have a lot of my systems. I still got about like 7 of my systems. And during COVID, that was kind of how I kept myself busy. I knew they were all around in my attic in pieces and shit, and I kind of pulled them out and blew the dust off of them and kind of had extra time to mess around and play with them. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. Grizz says Kirby's Dream Land. You know, I used to not know shit about Kirby until I played it, but Kirby is a lot of fun.
Kirby's fun. Yeah.
I think my favorite classics. So when I first started playing video games, it was Boulder Dash and Dig Dug. I don't know if you're
Dig Dug's cool.
With those.
Dig Dug.
Yeah. And I'd get so stuck on those. And I actually still have them, and I try to play with my kids now, and they're like, what the fuck is this?
Well, see, I tried to adapt to the game, the Xbox games, and having the headset on and having kids screaming in your ear, and it just wasn't my thing, man. I tried it for a while. I played with my nephews and his boys and all that stuff. We'd play NHL hockey and shit, and they were cool. But when you get in with a rando and you start like arguing with a 10 or 12-year-old, it starts questioning your life a little bit,
You start to really feel how old you are, though, because I do it with my 12-year-old kid every now and then on Fortnite, and I'm like, man, the conversations are just
they're way beyond us. Yeah,
I was a big gamer up until about almost 10 years ago, when I had my kid, and I went through a lot of life changes. So one of the things that went away was I stopped playing video games. But as of probably the last 6 months, we got my son his first Nintendo Switch, and then I bought an old PS4 off of a buddy of mine. So I've been really enjoying playing like a lot of the story modes on games. I haven't pulled the trigger on multiplayer yet, just because of the same things that you're saying. I know that it's been so long and it's probably going to annoy the crap out of me. And when I get to play, I don't really have a lot of time to just devote and just stare there, stare at the screen and just play. I kind of have to like pause and, every now and again. So I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but if I get myself a first person shooter, I can't do Fortnite either. I had to do like Call of Duty or something like that, something a little bit better.
And you're trying to beat these kids, like you said, you hardly have any time for it. This is all they have time for. So they kill it. You go in there and they're like, "Why are you so bad at this?" Because I don't have my every hour of my day to dedicate to video games. But at least you can make the choice, bro. Because I hear of these young guys nowadays where they're Paperboy is a jam, and Mike Tyson, hell yeah, good shit. But I hear these stories nowadays. I've read stories where these young fathers are bringing their gaming systems into the delivery room while their wives are in labor to play video games to kill time. Imagine doing that shit.
I would not have a wife anymore.
There you go.
Same. It's the stories that my fiance has now that I have no recollection of, that she's just holding on to. I can't even imagine bringing in a full system, setting everything up.
Yeah, bro.
Ordering a pizza, just like, you got this, and then just zone it out like, no.
Yep.
It's funny because my wife has a kid prior to us, right? And she said that in the delivery room, the dude she was with brought in board games, and she was so pissed. Yes,
it takes even more effort. You gotta like take it out, set up pieces and shit.
Yeah,
oh, damn.
Can't play no Dungeons and Dragons during labor. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, the stories I have now are just like, I look over and you're sleeping, so it's like little things like that that just made her mad. So I can't imagine any of those other things. No, dude, I'm trying.
They have them sensors, but I think he's enjoying himself. Let me go check this shit out right now. They know it, man. They can feel that shit. When you are enjoying yourself, their sensors go off. They're like, I know that motherfucker is not playing games and enjoying himself. Let me go ahead and take care of this shit.
No, he's not happy right now.
Hell no, we are going to take care of this shit.
All right, guys. Next up. Every 2 minutes, we take more pictures than all of humanity did in the 19th century.
Got to be true.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta
definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I take pictures just like somebody will write a note down for me, like to remember to do something. And instead of just taking the note, I'll just take a picture of it.
It's not a bad way to go nowadays. There was a minute there where I needed to like take notes or something real quick or have something, and it didn't occur to me. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I got a freaking camera in my hand. I'll just take a picture of it. So, I mean, there's good aspects to it. It's a good thing if you use it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, technology is great. The only thing that I can think of is like how we had picture books, right? And our parents held on to these picture books for decades.
Mm-hmm.
Where are our photos actually going to go? Like, what like, are we printing them out? Like the ones that are printed, you probably throw them in a box. But other than that, if they're on your phone, that phone dies. They're not in the cloud. Or even if they're in the cloud, like all of the surplus of photos and videos, like, are we actually saving them? And where is that going to leave us?
Like, I've often pondered that too, bro, because I had two kids and one of them was more physical photos. And now my youngest daughter, she's more digital. So I'm like, does she feel like less, like we cared about her less because she's going to have less physical photos of her that exist than my than my older daughter.
Right.
But what I've done is I had to break out like the digital photo frame because I feel the same way as you. I feel that I love taking pictures. I'm a big picture taker. Drives my wife crazy. I do candids when they're not looking, all of that shit. And I have a lot of photos, but I ponder what you're saying one day. I'm like, how am I ever going to see these? Like, what's the point in capturing all these memories? I'm not going to see them. So the way I do it is I put them on a digital frame and I at least let it roll in my living room. And every now and then I'll accidentally go, oh shit, yeah, I remember that kind of picture.
Yeah.
That's kind of
If I do that, I'll have a crap ton of memes thrown in there too.
Oh boy, yeah. Some of that stuff you might not want to come up, Aaron.
Talking about technology and taking photos, I tried to be a bartender one time. I tried to become a bartender. It was very short-lived. And they wanted me to take a test. I was trying out for this job at Bar Louie. I took a photo of all of the cards that they provided with their drinks and stuff, and I had to take a test because I had to memorize them. And I couldn't memorize them. So I took a photo on my phone, and I had an Apple Watch at the time, and I would just bring up my photos on the Apple Watch, and I would and no one was the wiser. I'm just like, oh, sweet.
That's nice. Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it.
That's another thing. Those watches, man. I see people walking around with those smart watches too, and I'm like, I can't do it. I mean, it's neat, but I hate. First off, I'm a hairy motherfucker, so I get snagged all the time.
Yeah.
Wearing a watch. But I see bosses and everything. They're just over here like talking to their watch or pulling up pictures, paying for their transactions with these watches. I'm like, damn, man.
Yeah,
I made the change.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I made the change from wearing my father's watch and made the change to a cell phone, and now I'm so used to getting my time on a cell phone. I never really made the conversion back to the Apple watches or anything.
Yeah.
I worked for Apple for 5 years, so when they came out with the watch, I grabbed one. Normally, I don't wear anything. I don't wear jewelry or anything. So, and that's the one thing that I miss. I've been wanting to get another one just because I let it go because I felt like I was just tethered to the watch. But what I find now is I have my phone on me at all times, and I can't leave it over there. I get serious FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. And for no apparent reason, but at least with the watch, I can set my phone over there, and if it rings, I know it's ringing. I didn't know what a ringtone sounded like for years, and now I still keep my phone on vibrate, but I'm just missing calls all the time. So you definitely get used to it.
Yeah, I always have my phone in my back pocket. I mean, you see a lot of people like. I used to see people do it all the time, and I thought it was the dumbest shit. But it's so much easier to grab than your front pocket because you gotta get your hand down in your pocket, grab it. Yeah. Usually, I just grab it out of my back and snap a picture or something.
I'm afraid I'll crunch it if I sit on it. If I had put it in my back pocket,
the belly's in the way in the front pocket for me, so I gotta reach in the back.
Stormy said she uses the Apple Watch when she loses her phone. And she sets timers and alarms. All right. I know it's beneficial. Like I said, it's just too painful for me to wear one.
Yeah, they have different bands and stuff that you can switch out. I guess that was the best part of it. Because I have the same problem. I'm pretty freaking hairy. So, also, just for anyone thinking about getting an Apple Watch, I'm heavily tattooed, if you can't tell. So I couldn't wear it on my left wrist because of the tattoos. It wouldn't work correctly. So I always had to wear it on the right because there's just more of a space.
Because of the
sensors?
Mm-hmm. The sensors wouldn't. Wow. The sensors for your vitals and whatnot, it's like pressed against your skin, and it can't read it through a tattoo.
Wow, that is good information. I never knew that, man. I didn't think it would ever affect it.
Yeah, I didn't either until the nice feature of putting on the Apple Watch is you don't have to put in the passcode. With people with tattoos, you constantly have to put in your passcode because it just doesn't know that you're alive.
Wow.
Damn. Or just don't get tattoos, people. You just not get tattoos. That works too.
No, that's not.
Or if you ever plan on getting an Apple Watch and you want tattoos, just don't go down
around your wrists.
Yeah, or just,
I knew an attorney who was like completely tatted his whole body, but he didn't go past certain areas so that he could wear business suits, and you had no idea that he had tattoos.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've seen a lot of people like that. I had my first tattoo was on my neck when I was 17. By some dude at a house party named Frankie Needles. That's a 17-year-old decision, but yeah, I never stopped, and I never really worried. I guess the only thing I haven't done is really my hands too much, just a couple fingers.
Yeah.
But no, it's not. Nowadays, people are just okay with it. They're accustomed to others having tattoos unless the company is owned by like really old people.
Yeah. Harold, what's up, man? Thanks for jumping on here.
And
he's up in Rochester as well. That's another podcaster. All right, let's get into this next one. There are more Lego minifigures than all the people on Earth.
I believe that too. I believe that a lot.
It's a lot.
Half of them live in my house.
I was gonna say I have a tote full of them.
My youngest daughter was a Lego freak. Matter of fact, I'm sitting in the area that used to be occupied by all her excess Legos in my basement. She had the grandma that spoiled her, and every time she'd go out, it was this Lego, that Lego. So she was deep into the Lego game.
You're telling me you're not in a lounge right now?
Damn, I gave it away.
Dude, I gotta say, I love green screens, man. I love it.
Shit.
I love the effects. I love the shit. I mean, Joaquin, I know you have a setup in your house, but I mean, green screen is a lot of fun for people who haven't dabbled with them. There's a lot of shit you can do with them.
Oh, this looks real? No, look, check. No, I'm just kidding.
Knock on the door.
You know, it's funny. I always joke about how expensive Legos are, and I'm like, I'm sure a good chunk of that money goes to like their attorneys for all the parents who step on Legos and injure themselves.
Mm-hmm. Now, you know they have the Lego Land, right? Have you ever been to any of the Lego Land?
Yeah, there's one here in Kansas City.
Okay. She says F Legos. That's coming from a person that must have stepped on them. You're saying F Legos.
No, they're so expensive, and it went from something that you know, kids love to do to now grown adults are buying these Lego sets, and you can tell because the price matches that. But I always feel like, one, I don't really have the time or the space to leave a Lego set here and then come back to it and walk away, because my kids would just
they'd be in it.
To just throw them or do their own thing with it. And two, it's just like, where the hell am I going to put that thing? Like, once it's like you get this big Death Star built,
yep,
where am I going to put it where no one is going to touch it?
Yeah, they have the Death Star. They have the big Millennium Falcon for hundreds of dollars. Yeah, they got the Ghostbusters Firehouse. I mean, all the different themes now that they have that they just never had before.
It's insane.
Yeah, the only I personally own, there's one that's just on one of these one of these little things
Shelves.
here on the wall. Shelves, yeah. I don't know why I can't even say that. But it was because a guest came on our show and built it while we were all podcasting and gifted it to me. I'm like, all right, well, that works.
What is it? Is there any relevance to it?
It's a Star Wars, the higher ground scene.
I'm not familiar.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I forget what the scene is called, but it's pretty much when Obi-Wan had the higher ground on Anakin.
Okay.
Before he burnt up, yeah.
I hate you.
All right, next up. We got a couple more. We got about 15 more minutes to go, so let's see what else we can talk about here. If you dug a hole to the center of the earth and dropped a book down, it would take 42 minutes to reach the bottom. Can you imagine free falling for 42 minutes?
I was thinking more like, who the hell wants to dig a hole that deep?
Yeah, right. I know I can't even dig enough deep enough hole to bury a dog without wearing myself out. And I say that because I've had a lot of pets, so I have buried a lot of animals. But that's painful enough just digging a fucking grave for a dog.
Oh, I believe it. I've never had to do it, but have you ever seen the show Outer Range with Josh Brolin? It's an awesome show. I don't think too many people are on it. I want to say it's on Amazon Prime, but it's a rancher. He has a crap ton of land, and in one part of his land, he just discovers this big void in the ground. It's just a giant hole. And he's like curious to know like what the hell is in this hole, because he'd never seen it before. It just came out of nowhere. And then he falls into it, and it turns out to be like this this portal through time or something. So a very interesting side tangent. But if you're into cowboys and sci-fi stuff, that's an awesome show you should check out.
Okay, I probably will actually.
It's really good. It's really good.
That's the whole thing with shows nowadays. You know, I'm sure you're right about that. And people recommend shows to me too a lot. But now what we have nowadays, there's more shows than there are hours a day to watch them, right? I mean, you got a family, you're trying to do podcasting and then you watch podcasts and then trying to fit in a show, all this time shifting and management. It's really challenging. And there are a lot of good things on, but some of them I probably miss just because of the amount of hours in a day, you know, just can't get to it.
My biggest fear is finding a show that I like, because then I end up binging it, which means I'm up, I'm looking at my clock like, okay, so if I watch another episode, how much sleep am I going to get?
Yeah, that is one of my guilty pleasures. Is I'm not the big TV guy like I used to be. Now that I'm more into podcasting and all. So
yeah,
but I do like finding a show, like discovering a new show and go, oh, I kind of like this, and just binging the shit out of it. I do enjoy that and not having to wait, because I know you talked Star Wars. I'm kind of into Mandalorian now. And so now you have to wait, like old television. You have to wait once a week to get the new episode, where when it first started out, you could just turn it on and binge the whole series and you were done with it. But Disney picked up on that. And now they're like, now we're doing this one a week shit. But I thought it's kind of ironic how we started out with television with scheduled television once a week kind of thing. We went to this flexible kind of thing where you can watch it shit wherever you want. And now we're right back to once a week kind of thing. Going through all that,
I think for me, I go back and forth, right, with that notion of which one do I like best. But because I don't really have much time, I can do one show like Mandalorian or like The Last of Us, where I'm going to just devote that time to that one episode. And I can watch that at my leisure. So I'll probably watch a portion of it at the gym while I'm on the elliptical or something, and then finish it off at home. The binging thing, that's easier for shows that my fiance is into, because we take some time at the end of the night once we put the kids to bed. That's where we sit down. We'll watch a show. So we binged all 5 seasons of Yellowstone, and we have a bunch of shows that we are just into and we watch together. And that makes it easy too, because when we're binging it, it's every night we know what we're going to watch. So we'll watch the next couple of episodes, however long, until we get tired. And then, or if we have the one episode shows, that's kind of nice too, because it's all right, so where are we at now? Where are we at now? What do we have to watch? Oh, Shrinking just dropped, and this other show just dropped. Oh, cool. So then we already know. Go ahead.
No, I was saying it's got to be tough, because you watch that stuff together, and I know myself, you have an urge where either you're not going to have time, man, I'd really like to watch this next one, but you're going to catch it if you watch that next one without her, right?
That's when I'll do it for one episode, maybe 2. That's when I'll watch the episode and not say anything, and then we'll watch it together, and I pretend like it's the first time.
That's amazing! Look at that. And then she catches on you because you're acting too funny. You don't normally act like that. What are you acting like that shit for?
You're just on your phone a little bit more than usual.
You ain't paying attention. You ain't acting right.
On the flip side of that, is there shows that because I know my wife and I have a couple shows just as background noise, when you're doing shit around the house, that you put on?
Yeah. My I do Seinfeld just because I've seen all of them, and it's one of the great shows where when you do actually catch, you pay attention real quick, it's funny, and then you just go back to doing whatever the hell you're doing. My fiance does a lot of the cop shows. She's real big on just having NYPD Blues or whatever random cop show that she loves. That's her background noise.
Yeah. My random shows, I like the Impractical Jokers. I love comedy and laughing. I love sticking in that lane. So I'll just turn that on, and you can walk in and out of the room. I've seen a lot of the episodes many times, but it's funny, great shit. Now, my wife, she's a little different. She's a Harry Potter head. She's a movie head. Any movie on, she'll put on. She's seen Shawshank Redemption, I can't tell you how many times. The Indiana Jones marathons, Harry Potter marathons, whatever's on, she'll have that on, and sometimes we'll just let that roll. That's kind of her background noise, but yeah. We have our faves.
Yeah, we usually watch Modern Family or like Superstore. I don't know if you've seen Superstore. That one's pretty funny.
I haven't seen that one yet. I've been thinking of doing like King of Queens because I love that show. I think that's gonna be my next background noise show.
All right, let's do one more and we'll bullshit for a few minutes and we'll get wrapped up. How's that sound?
Yeah, sounds good.
Man. Having fun.
All right. Next one says writing a diary is considered sane and respectable, but talking to yourself out loud is considered bizarre. Unless you're a guy, then it's a journal, not a diary. I mean, it could be a diary. I don't know.
Either way, yeah, there's something to be said about writing down your feelings and whatnot. The problem is like if you're doing it out loud, you can write the most insane shit down and it's fine. And it's considered okay because people are just assuming that you're being philosophical or something, there's something more to it when you're just, but when you're out loud, when you're saying your thoughts out loud, dude, no, man.
That's a good point. It's just a rant when you blurt the same shit out. That's a good point. I never looked at it that way. Like it might come off a little sane because it looks like you're being deep in thought, but when you're just out screaming that shit.
and most people, like if I'm writing stuff down, if most people come out and say, or if most people were to read what I was writing down, you would think I was just totally like nuts, bro. Like it's just.
Well, it's funny because I refer to it as kind of I consider myself my own therapist. I kind of like talk to myself, so that's kind of my mental diary, and I do kind of like say things out loud kind of to myself just so I can process it and all. But yeah, I don't do much of a written diary, but I do more or less like coach myself or kind of talk to myself or kind of basically give myself my own therapy, almost as if like I got a split personality. I'm two people. Like I'm the sane one talking to the one that's having problem coping with shit. So that's kind of how I cope with stuff.
And my issue is I'm very blunt. So I don't keep too much. Like if I feel a certain way about you or a situation, I'm usually pretty forward about it. And I mean, I've been called a dick for it, and that's fine and all, but at least I'm honest,
Yeah,
it takes a lot to irritate me. Let's put it that way. But I will say it if it hits me.
I'm the other side of that. I internalize. If I care enough, then eventually I will say something. But for the most part, I just I internalize a lot of those feelings. So I'm probably more of a journal guy. When I was writing, it was very therapeutic because I just can't come out and call people on their bullshit all the time, depending on the person. But generally, I'm not going to call them on some bullshit. I'm just going to be like, oh, I either know that I want to either be around you more or be around you way less, and then move forward knowing that information.
Yep. Bobby, you got anybody that really irritates you? Do you usually just avoid them, or do you just tell them how you feel?
I think it's kind of like what Keen said. It's kind of it depends on the person. I guess I tend to be more reserved and I try to protect people's feelings. I'm the kind of person where you got to kind of push me to a point to get that out of me sometimes, But once you push me to the point, I'll be terribly honest with you. But I guess initially I try to spare feelings, and I don't feel that I have to broadcast like every little opinion that I have about every little thing, or I got to keep it in check a little bit.
I was getting ready to say that those people who just want the attention, so they're constantly telling you shit that like you won't even ask them, and they'll just be telling you their life stories, or they'll be flaunting certain aspects of themselves too much to an extreme. I typically just avoid those people because I will end up, like I said, I'm a blunt person. I don't want, it's actually a good thing because I'm not wanting to hurt your feelings. So I'm going to avoid you.
Right. And you try to do the avoid thing as much as you can. But if you're that kind of person, you said you like being blunt and you're faced with that too many times and it starts, I keep this person going to say it one time and they're going to catch me on the wrong day, feeling the wrong way. And I'm going to tell them about themselves kind of thing. Yeah.
And I'm not a physical person. Like I don't fight or anything, but I say things that definitely could hurt somebody's feelings.
Yeah, I'm more of I go off of intuition a lot. And I thought it was something that everyone possesses, but apparently not. A lot of my friends just keep themselves around certain people and they'll have their reasons, like certain benefits and whatnot. But I don't care what the benefit is. If something is off about someone's vibe or their personality or something, is just like I get that spidey sense. and it's like, I got to get out of here, or I'll let them know, like, dude, you're like, you got to stay away from this person. It's generally very good. Like, I'm very good at it. Like, and I don't know what that is, but I listen to it, dude.
Yeah, that's like the cautiousness you talked about your life and like riding in the bike lane or whatever. You got to have that cautiousness with how you deal with everyday life too. And I agree with you. There are some people that just don't seem to have the good common sense to avoid things that are kind of clearly bad for them, you know?
Yeah. I was always that dude growing up, again, because of the whole cautiousness thing. I was always that guy that something went on. Well, like, my friends would be at a party, at a club, at a bar or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I always get the story the next day, dude, like, right after you left.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm just like, oh, sweet. I like that I'm the guy that misses that stuff.
Right. And it takes, when you're younger, it takes strength. It takes strength to go, hey, man, like, I'm not going to fall in with the gang. Like, I'm going to use my own common sense. Like, y'all dudes are crazy, and somebody's got to be the one to speak, you know, common sense to you. So it's good to have a person like that in the bunch.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Can't make them listen to you, but at least you can protect yourself.
Hey, I'll do my part. I'll do my part, and my conscience is okay with that.
That's it.
See, and my thing was growing up was opposite. Like, I went to church 4 days a week. I was held back from a lot of shit that happened out in the real world. So when I turned 18, I was like, fuck this, I'm getting out. And I started like experimenting and, you know, drinking, and I got into some drugs. And for about 4 years, I dove. I mean, I head first into some shit. And then, but I experienced all of these things that you should just avoid, you know, and that's why I am the way I am now. And I'm blunt because I'm like, I know what I don't want to be around anymore.
I definitely think that's a thing. Like, when you're raising children, when you tell them to stay away from something, and you try to keep a child away from something, that's going to attract them to it. Like you said, you were kind of repressed, you were kept away from that stuff. So the minute you got your freedom, it sounds like you went right for it. And I think it's kind of, you got to kind of like mix it in. As if you keep them locked in a cage and all, they're going to break out. You know, people are going to break out someday and want to be their own person.
Right.
Yeah, because I was the complete opposite of that, right? Like, my parents smoked weed around me. They didn't. Yeah, I remember I was going to teen nights when I was, 12, 13 years old. And I remember going to my first party where I was very young, and I came home at 3 a.m. thinking my parents are going to be up and they're going to give me shit. And, I'm sneaking in the house and everyone's asleep. No one gave a shit. Not necessarily that they didn't give a shit, but it's just like, they just put all that trust in me to the point where I didn't feel like, and when I started smoking weed, obviously, like, they were okay with it, and they were super cool. So it was a lot of that I feel like why I learned from other people and just stood away from a majority of stuff. And, plus, I was scared to death of my dad, even though I had all of those freedoms, but I stood away from a lot of craziness due to that. But I think it was because I had that sense of freedom, and I didn't, I'm trying to do that now with my kids, and co-parenting with my daughter's mother makes it tough because she is that person. She's doing that to her. She's trying to like keep her from like doing all of this harm in the world.
Yeah, man.
And when she's with me, I just let her. It's like I monitor what she's doing, but for the most part, I just kind of let her be herself. And I have these talks with her, and I'm hoping that that's enough, so that she's not like completely crazy when she gets older and wanting to try all this randomness that she couldn't do with, around her mom.
Yeah. For me, it's, I remember my first time seeing a porn mag, I was like 12, right? And now my kid, it was probably 2-3 years ago. He's 12 now. We found it on the history on a tablet, and the conversation wasn't so much, hey, don't do that. It was more like, you're just not ready for this, man. And there's so much. There's so much
turning back, bro.
And this isn't Playboy or Penthouse or Hustler anymore. Now there's shit.
Yeah, you can get the full thing, right? Like when back in the day, the struggle was real. Like you said, you had to find a magazine, and then you had to hope it had some good shit. But now these kids can just go up to a keyboard, and the shit that they can pull up, I don't know how I would have dealt with that at that age.
Dude, I had the closest thing to it. My dad had a descrambler. That's how old I am. My dad had a descrambler, and I found the Spice Channel on there when I was.
That was the real deal. And when that shit stayed good for like 15, 30 seconds, it was like winning the lottery or some shit.
Oh, yeah. Once he had the descrambler, I just had every channel at my disposal, and I'm
pretty sure that green round thing right there's a titty. I'm pretty sure that is.
That's the mouth. What's it doing?
All right, guys. Well, hey, Joaquin, Bobby, man, I really appreciate you coming on the show. We had quite a few people hanging out in the chat today too. You know, 6, 7 at a time. It's not bad for me, at least, especially not this early in the morning. So,
yeah,
they're good.
Hope you guys enjoyed yourself. So,
yeah, it was a great time. Thanks for asking me to come on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, of course. This is magic growing up in a world with VR porn.
Oh,
goodness.
No,
that's like a whole nother level. And you see those online where the guys apparently are like wearing a headset while they're doing the girls, and you can get all the angles and shit. Yeah, like that's. I mean, we had like one page at a time if they weren't stuck together, right?
Yeah.
I just don't want to get caught watching one of those.
Thanks, Stormy, for the shout out. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having us on the show, man. It was a great time as always.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You know, whenever I have guests on, honestly, it's more about just getting to hang out with people. This is my guys' night out right here. So, you know, or morning, whatever. So it's just nice to hear stories that even the people on don't, you know, forgot about sometimes. And it's just a lot of fun. So I appreciate everybody. I appreciate both of you guys. Obviously, I'm going to put both of your shows in the description, and I will send you the audio versions as well, because this goes out on Spotify and Apple and all that as well. And till next time, guys, we'll see you around.
Yeah. See you guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.